HBCU, there are many first-generation college students who carry the hopes of many in the family. There's a special place in the hierarchy of education for HBCU institutions for educating its black students when at one time it was illegal to do so. Black families are traditionally multi-generation, and the same thing exists on black college campuses. That is part of the success of black colleges. There's a commonality between family values at home and the structure and framework within the institution's nurturing network. If you've never been to or visited a black college, you've missed out. Nothing is the same on an HBCU campus, just like in black culture. The friendships, the family atmosphere, and even the event of brother-to-brother conflict. Institutes graduate numerous productive students into the world. But through all of this nurturing serenity, there's a time when all of this is tossed aside. That's on the weekend. Man, on the weekend, all bets are off as black colleges turn up for a good time. Nobody does it like they do. And during the fall, it's football season, and in the South, football is the king. The supporters, fans, alumni, family, and boosters come together in a special environment, oftentimes partying activities starting on Friday, and many times on Thursday nights, and sometimes even on Wednesday. Foods are being marinated, cooked, and prepared. Good eats are everywhere, and everyone gets their drink on and their eat on. Love, fellowship, flirting, and dating, and an old-fashioned good time abounds, and even the shade and the bougie are all a part of everything that makes for football game day.
Don't encourage him by laughing at him.
You know, encourage him by laughing.
I'm ready.
We're here with Insights on HBCU Sports. This is the coach, Mickey Clayton. I'm here with Earl the Pearl Hankerson. How you doing, Earl?
I'm doing good, Coach. How you doing today?
I just want to be like you. You're my hero.
Yes, sir. I'll take that.
So you take that? Okay. Well, let me tell you what we're trying to do. We're trying to spend a few minutes each week and give you some update on HBCU Sports. That's not to say that it's not being done by a lot of people, because there's some good people that do it. Box to Row Sports does his, and HBCU Sports, Temm HBCU, Head Sports. There's a lot of people that cover it and do it. It's just like covering major college sports. We don't think that they get enough coverage, and we don't think the HBCU schools get enough. What you think, girl?
Definitely true, especially on the major networks, that HBCUs don't really get a lot of coverage, and a lot of people forget about the HBCU, especially with the predominantly white institutions playing and getting all of the coverage. But we all know that HBCU football is where a lot of talent has come through the National Football League as well as the college ranks in these 150 years now of college football.
All right, you're exactly right. And one of the things is if we can bring additional attention to the HBCU teams and the student athletes, as our student athletes, male and female, graduate and look at places they want to matriculate, we want to put them in situations where parents and their family and everybody else know how they're doing and what they're doing.
That's good. That's good stuff, Coach. Again, almost forgotten leagues. The Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, which hosts several teams that compete regularly in the FCS Championship Series. Once the playoffs come around, I believe they get an automatic bid now for the conference champion, going to the Heritage Bowl, and then sometimes they are able to get an at-large bid.
Well, one of the things that always concerns me as a former Division I head men's coach and women's coach at Florida A&M University is that oftentimes the only times that our alumni and boosters really see our scores are when you play the money game.
Right.
When you play University of Miami, when you play Florida State, Alabama. Those are the only times they see them, and people see those lopsided scores and think that their program is really missing. And that's not necessarily the case.
No, not at all. But the money games right now are a necessity for our HBCUs in order to thrive and survive. My question, Coach, is does the money actually funnel the majority of it through the athletic program, because I've read where some of the money is actually funding the universities.
It actually depends on the school. There are some schools, the money goes back into the athletic departments, becomes a part of their budget. So if they have a $500,000 game, it's counted as revenue. But there are institutions where the money that's made in athletic departments actually goes back to fund some of the academic programs at the institution. Now, and some of those are topics that we'll talk about. Having been a head coach, an academic advisor, NCAA compliance, director of the Booster Club, sometimes I have a little bit more insight than the average person. That doesn't always mean it's right, but it's just have some more insight. And we're gonna share a lot of that with you. But one thing I want everybody to know in black college sports, that whenever these games are played against majority institutions, each one of us in a minority institution pull and cheer for them. Because every win that you have is a win for each one of us.
That's right.
You know, and even if the game is close, I remember Dr. Humphries would say in his recruiting spiel when we would bring student athletes to come and talk to him, he said, if you come to Florida A&M University, you playing in front of your own people. He said, you got a black crowd, you got black students, you got black cheerleaders, you got black faculty, you win a championship for us. The most, that's who we pull for. But just one of the things that we want, a couple of scores that we've had that I wanted to make sure you know about, because I know these alumni know about, when Kentucky State beat Robert Morris 13-7, Virginia Union beat Hampton 36-17.
Really?
Alabama A&M beat North Alabama 31-24. And what I thought was one of the better games in the early part of the season, Jackson State beat Tennessee State 49-44 in a shootout.
That's a barn burner.
They started off with the opening kickoff return for 100 yards. When they kicked it off, the next one was returned for 99 yards.
Wow.
So it was from the rooter to the tutor. They were getting up after it.
I know that was a great crowd and a lot of energy in that stadium.
It really was. And see, black college football is different. Every time we would have the city of Tallahassee come over to see the Ramblers play, they said it's not like watching football at Florida State. And we said, it sure ain't.
That's right. And a lot of that is because of the atmosphere is so much greater in the HBCU. Well, I don't want to say so much greater, but it's different. As you spoke about, it's different because you have the bands there. And they're really going to keep the crowd energized and pumped up. And a lot of people come.
Well, at the major institutions, they have bands.
Yeah, but not HBCU bands. And we know at a black college football game, most people come to see the band. And after halftime, they find their way out of the stands.
Unfortunately, when we had that situation at A&M when the band didn't participate a couple of years, it was always a matter of who was first, the team or the band. And when the band wasn't able to perform, we found out that a lot of people actually did come to see that band.
Yes.
You know. Now, one of the things that we're going to do is that each one of us, Coach fought me. He wanted to make sure he covered the MEAC sports. That's because he does not know how to be impartial. Being a Florida A&M University grad, as I am myself, and Bethune-Cookman running through his blood from down there in Daytona, he picked the MEAC because he was familiar with them. So he has the MEAC and the SIAC. And I have the SWAC and the CIAA. And I really wanted the CIAA because I was a former basketball coach. And the CIAA tournament gets it done. One of the top 5 tournaments in the nation. So what we're going to do is kind of bring you up to date with what's going on. We've already lined up some interviews with some of the coaches. And I have one coming with Grambling State's women's coach to talk to you about his superstar who's going overseas to play. And we're going to interview and talk to Coach about it. But when we sit here, we're not going to really get into right now who the top teams are. We'll leave that for a little bit later. But Coach, what do you want to share with us about your homework that you've done with the MEAC and the SIAC?
Well, early in the season, we haven't really had any MEAC conference games as of yet, so everybody still stands at 0-0. But you talked about those money games earlier. And last week, we actually did have a money game where South Carolina State battled the University of South Florida. Now, of course, they came out on the short end of the stick. 55-16 was that score. Bethune-Cookman faced off against Miami, and we know how that ended, 63-0. But that's not indicative of what those teams' season are going to be like. South Carolina State, we know, and Bethune-Cookman are traditionally powers in the MEAC.
Well, what about A&T and Duke? Did you know at one time A&T was up on Duke?
Really?
They had a running back go through for about 76 yards, and I just happened to flip, and the A&T Aggies were going nuts in there after they sent tremors through the Duke Stadium.
Wow.
But Duke ended up coming back, but A&T didn't back off of them.
No, and A&T, we know A&T is definitely a powerhouse team. They've been dominating the MEAC for the last 3-4 years. You mentioned earlier about being from Daytona Beach, and I could always remember when the state of Florida, you had to come through the state of Florida in order to win the MEAC championship with Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman. And so hopefully the state of Florida will get that back and be able to snatch that away from North Carolina, because actually A&T and Central have actually been the ones that have been leading the MEAC in football as of late.
Well, how Tuskegee doing? Didn't they play somebody kind of close?
Tuskegee actually, they played Kentucky State and they fell they won 13-7 over Kentucky State. And the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, the SIAC, they play some pretty good football over there. We actually, on their level, Florida A&M actually played Fort Valley State last week and really did a good job against them in their tune-up game this week against Southern. And they were able to defeat Fort Valley 57-20. So we had some really good games last week. Some tune-up games for some teams in the MEAC, some money games in the MEAC. And then you had some really good contests over in the SIAC. For example, Benedict had a barn burner versus Johnson C. Smith, 34-31. That went right down to the wire. So that was a really good game. And this week, Clark Atlanta is going to face off against Central, and one of those teams is going to pick up their first win of the season.
Okay. Game of the week this week for me pits the MEAC and the SWAC.
Oh, absolutely.
And where is that? Tallahassee, Florida, the tallest of 7 hills?
The highest of 7 hills.
I'm going to say tallest. We go FAMU and Southern, that rivalry goes back, and it's a game that never, ever should have stopped. When you talk about money games, you have some rivalry games that when you put egos and everything else aside, those institutions should play forever and a day.
Yes, indeed.
FAMU and Southern rolling here, boy, like they going across the street to Baton Rouge to New Orleans or something. They rolling here 30, 40 deep in the vans and trailers, and the alumni come in, boy,
Coach, I can't wait. Saturday is going to be a great scene in Tallahassee. The series dates back to the 1940s. This is the team's their 61st meeting, and it is going to be an all-out war. An absolute great ball game if you can make it down to Tallahassee. This is going to be one that you don't want to miss. And the Battle of the Bands as well is going to be just as great as a football game. This is what black college football is all about, these types of big games here. And it is a money game, as we talked about. You don't have to go out and play the Division I schools all the time. We can play some great matchups right here in black college football and do just as well financially.
And we have a section on INSiiGHTS, that's INSiiGHTS, 2 I's in the middle, about HBCU experiences. We have interviews with Dr. Humphries.
Chest grows weary, and the muscles in the legs grow tired from those hard charging linebackers of the Rattlers. You must always remember, the Rattlers will strike and strike and strike again.
Oh, Dr. Humphries. Conference. Why you just can't have one strong one, just and go from there? And why do we even, I'm gonna start it, why do we even have to be in the NCAA? You got the NAIA. Why do we have to be in the NCAA? If you're not going to participate in the championship games, does it really benefit your institution? If you get enough money games with each other, I remember one year we had Alabama State come to us, it drew more than homecoming. It was like having 2 homecoming games. So you have to do some things in your scheduling. As a former booster member and assistant athletic director, I got some ideas. I always have ideas. And they always have Coach Earl Hankerson, himself a former athletic director here in the city at Ricketts High School. He always has some ideas. But tune in to us. We'll be back next week. We're going to talk about insights on HBCU sports, and we're just going to keep it real.
That's the only way to keep it, Coach.
This is Mickey Clayton, the coach, and Earl of Pearl. We signing off.
Your attention, please. Stay up to date with the latest from INSiiGHTS. Visit our website at INSiiGHTS.com. 2 I's in the middle. INSiiGHTS.
INSiiGHTS is a copyright of Mac4 Enterprises, a Florida corporation. This broadcast is produced under the exclusive ownership of Mac4 Enterprises and is the intellectual property and trademark of Mac4 Enterprises. Comments of the host and other individual speakers on INSiiGHTS represent the independent thoughts and representation.